I'd like to think that there aren't bad people in the world. Yeah, I mean, sure there are, but I don't think anybody is bad at their core. I don't think anybody wants to be a bad person. I think people do things that they have to do to survive the way they have to survive. And when you hear somebody's perspective, when you hear and understand somebody, you'll understand that they do things for reasons in which you would never think. Bad people are good people as well. They just do what they have to do, and they find a way to say it's not that bad. They don't believe that they're a bad person because they're doing the thing that's so bad for good reasons. Me at least. I have an addiction to drugs and alcohol, and luckily today I'm 4 years sober, right? And in my addiction, I hurt anybody and everybody that I could get my hands on or get close to or that was close to me. And that's not because I'm a bad person and I wanted to hurt them. It was that they stood in between the thing that brought me the most joy, that healed me of my pains, that brought me closer to God, that did everything I ever could have asked for anything to do. And when you feel that strongly towards something, when you are in that deep of love, and when you're running from yourself enough, you'll find a way to do anything. You'll find a way to get the thing that you want, because that's the thing that's gonna heal you, and that is your God, is the thing that makes everything better. So I questioned myself for a very long time of saying, am I a bad person? Am I a bad person because I did all these things and I hurt the people closest to me? And even still in sobriety, still hurting people, still not being perfect. And I've came to the conclusion, like, we're good people doing bad things, trying to be good people. I oftentimes, even in sobriety, right, it's like I'm trying to fix my problems so much that I actually make it worse. I'm trying to get my will so much that I'm doing bad and causing wreckage in a way that I don't even realize. So I'm destroying everything in the path to the thing that I want. And that's why they say, oh, self-will gone riot. That's what addiction is, that they say. And I understand that completely, because it's like, when my will is set, when my idea is set, when I want to do something, I will go into the deepest depths to get that thing. And I hung around when I was using and doing drugs, drug dealers, scammers, thieves. And I was a drug dealer, scammer, and thief, right? And you always find a way to reconcile what you're doing. Like, I always found a way to say, this is good. This isn't that bad, because I'm doing it for a good reason. I'm going to change something. I'm going to be better. But the fact is, right now, this is just a situation that I'm in. And when you really put that in perspective, everybody has pains, and even the closest people that you see the darkest side of them, because you know them the closest, and they're the most vulnerable to you. We have scars that haven't been healed. We put up guards because we don't want to be hurt. We become somebody that we don't want to become because we're scared of what the world will make us. And I was scared for a long time of the world, and I was scared of why the world didn't seem like it had good in it. And I said, man, the world's so fucked up and people are so fucked up. Why would I be a good person? Why? And today I still wrestle with this, the idea that there's somebody, quote unquote, doing better than me, that's doing things that I would never want to do because simply I have today a moral code. But I also know what it is to do bad things. In the midst of doing all these bad things, yeah, sure, you can get rewarded, you can get money short term, but you lose something in your soul. You lose something in your heart. You lose something in your mind. And then it became a game, and it becomes a game of trying to reconcile that you're a good person, telling yourself and lying to yourself and living in the lie that you are somebody that you're not. And it's a hard lie to keep in your head, and it's a hard delusion to keep going, but you have to keep it to survive. And you have to understand life is a lot about surviving. Life is a lot about surviving. And I'm trying to survive in any way I can. I'm trying to keep my identity in any way I can. People are keeping their identity in any way they can, right? So you have to remember, like, okay, am I really interacting with the person, or am I interacting with the fear that the person has of the thing I'm going to do to them, or the way I'm going to make them feel, or a trauma that's come across to them? And love is scary in that sense, where you have to accept somebody for every fault that they have, every person that they become in times of desperate need, in times of despair, in times of heartbreak, and be there for them and say, I see you and I accept you. And not to always bring it back to drugs, but when I was on drugs and I was drinking, I didn't have that grace for anybody. I thought everything was happening to me. I was a victim to the whole world. I was a victim to everything in which was happening, and the world was happening to me, not happening for me. And you start to learn. You start to learn that this is happening for me. This is not happening to me. And I make this point because oftentimes people think of life in such a black and white state. I think of life in a pretty black and white state as well, of this is this because of this. You can't be that because of that. And, people look at drug addicts, people look at me and say, when I admit I'm a drug addict or whatever it is, that, oh, like, no, you just have a problem. Like, there's just something wrong with you, And it's like, no, like, no, not really. I didn't, like, my first choice wouldn't be to say I'm a drug addict. My first choice wouldn't be to be addicted to drugs. I don't think that my choice was that I wanted to be addicted to drugs. I think that I used drugs because the drugs was a way of surviving, was my survival method. That's how I found my life being easier. And when you boil it down to survival, and when you boil it down to saying people are just doing what they have to do to survive, you start to realize that it's never personal. Like, it was never personal when I went and I did what I had to do to get drugs, whatever that had to be. It was never personal, the pain that I put on other people in my life to see my will happen. It was never personal. And I had a problem with sitting with that for a long, long time. Thinking I was a bad person, thinking that my flaws were wrong, that my survival method was insane. And I've come to the point today that knowing that we all learn and we grow in our own way. And the way I had to grow, the way I had to learn was by doing bad things. I did terrible things, and I think back on them to this day. And would I take them back? No. And the reason I say I wouldn't take them back is because if I took them back, then I'd also have to return what I learned from them. If I never did bad things, I'd never have a moral code. If I never did bad things to know how they felt, I would never know if I'm a good person. And being good is a weird thing, because good people do bad things all the time. Good people will do anything to seem good and be in their own delusion of the fact that they're good and the fact that they're nice and the fact that they are this image, right? And maybe them doing that is their version of surviving and being who they are, right? We're all protecting an identity in one way or another. You just have to realize what identity you want to protect. Do I want to be good to everybody? No, I don't want to be good to everybody today. Do I want to be everything for everybody? No, I don't want to be everything for everybody today. Because the main thing that made me bad was that I was trying to be good for everybody. And the main thing that made me good was the fact that I realized I couldn't be good enough for everybody. And that bad turned into me looking at myself in the mirror and saying, nah, you're hurt because love isn't the way you thought it'd be. I was hurt that love wasn't what I thought it'd be, that my relationships weren't going the way that I thought they were going, that this mirror keeps coming up to my face, having to make me face with myself, and having to face with maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I'm not this, or maybe I'm not that, and it hurt. And when we're hurt, we will do anything to not be hurt, or I'll do anything to not be hurt. And identity is scary. And the realization I've come to now is that there's an identity in not having identity at all. There's identity in knowing that, yeah, I'm not much better than anybody. There's identity in knowing that, yeah, I'm wrong. Yeah, I don't know if I'm a good person. Yeah, I don't know. And just saying you don't know, I don't know how to live. And the day I was able to say I don't know how to live, and I stopped acting as if I knew how to live, I stopped acting as if I knew how to be a good person, I became a person I didn't know I could ever be. I became better than I ever thought I could be. My heart came out of my chest, and it started to display into the world, right? Because I was scared of giving that love because I thought that love would be backfired on me, and I also get defensive, and I think in my head that somebody's always telling me that my love is wrong, that the way in which I love, the way in which I care, and caring too much is wrong. And oftentimes it's those people that care too much that are the people that fall out of reality, in the sense of people telling them that they're bad people, or turn into bad people, because I cared so much that with all that care, people destroyed my heart. And then with all that love, nobody ever showed it back. And that sometimes feels like, man, what am I even giving for? What am I giving because everybody keeps taking? And today I've realized, like, why would I give if I don't, if I want something in return? I give to give. I love to love. I care to care. And the fact that I care too much, some people don't want to be cared for that much. Some people don't want to be loved that way. And there's nothing against me. There's nothing against them. It's just the way I am. It's okay to be the way I am, but it's not okay for everybody. And everybody doesn't need that. And I don't need to know what they need. I don't need to know what I need. I just need to know that this is what I'm doing. And this is who I am. Like, this is who I want to be, which is good. And to go after my deepest emotions and with my deepest love, share and care the way I want to care. I think it's the falsest thing to have this guard up to everybody in the world, trying not to get hurt because the world is inevitable. Because I think it's the craziest thing to have your guard up to the world, to a world that's already gonna hurt you. Like, it's always gonna hurt you. The world's always gonna hurt you, no matter how tough you act, no matter how hard you are. It's going to break you. But that's the purpose of life, is that it's supposed to break you and build you down and build you up. So what am I running from, right? I say, and I look and I try to run from 1,000 different things and the feelings of who I am. And I said, why am I running from who I am? I'm running from the fact I care too much. I'm running from the fact I love too much. I'm running from the fact of me maybe not being good enough. But all the things that I'm running from are the things that make me good enough, or the things that make me a good person. And do I not want to meet myself? Do I not want to meet that guy that is its full potential? And I was so focused on not having it wrong and not doing wrong, that I did wrong in every way possible, trying to fix not doing wrong. Maybe it's crazy, and maybe this idea of that we're not bad people, we just do bad things trying to be good is insane. But I truly believe that none of us are bad. I truly believe that our deepest essence and the thing that makes us bad is that we're trying to run from ourselves and how good we are. The uniqueness of you, the uniqueness of me is scary. And that's the scariest part of my life, is that I'm finding out who I am every day, and I'm feeling every emotion that I need to feel every day to find that person and to hear that person and to see what God made me to be. And some days I don't want to see that. Some days I don't want to feel as much. But I'm running from the inevitable. I'm running from life. And life is supposed to be lived, and life is supposed to be felt, and love is supposed to hurt. And to understand that is a weird thing, but I started to understand that love is accepting the things that you don't want to accept. And when you can accept the dark, you can accept the light. And when the dark strays away, the light comes, because you were only able to accept the dark. Maybe that makes sense, but maybe it doesn't. But the darkest parts of my life has been the best parts, where I learned the most, where I became the most. And if I throw away the dark, and if I throw away my mistakes, and if I never make one, I'll never be grateful for the light. If I sat in this room and all I had was this room and I didn't see sunlight, the day I see sunlight, I'll be the happiest person in the world. And it'll be foreign, and I'll be like, whoa, this is crazy. But you're grateful for the thing that comes when you least expect it, not the thing that you know is always there. I don't know. Maybe none of that made sense, but fuck it.